They told me that urban legends weren't real. I thought that they were just harmless stories made up by bored teenagers on the internet. I was wrong. If you're listening to this, then it's already too late for me. The thing they warned me about is real. Listen closely to my voice, take notes, and pray to whatever God you believe in that you never experience what I did. It all started on a rainy Tuesday morning. The year was 2007, and it was still dark outside. The name is Ben. I was just an ordinary kid suffering through severe insomnia, mindlessly scrolling through the internet, watching videos aimlessly. The forum I was scrolling through had long been abandoned by those who contributed to it. This particular thread was discussing various urban legends, each one more unsettling than the last. That was when it happened. 3:33 a.m. My digital clock hit it. And at that moment, that's when I saw it. I had stumbled upon a user's post, simply entitled, "Do not download," in big crimson letters against the black background. The original poster's account username was completely wiped, showing up only as a string of corrupted code. The text attached to the post warned that downloading the file attached to the post would invite something ancient, unnatural, and most of all evil into the downloader's home. The only other text said this: "I posted this onto the forum in hopes that whoever sees this won't download this file. You have been warned." The text went on to say, "It got to me before I could delete the file forever. So I thought that it would be better to warn everyone else out there not to download it." Then it said, "I hope whoever sees this post heeds my warning about the file and doesn't download it." That's when I saw it. The file attached to the post. The direct download link was simply entitled Crawley.x. I shook my head and scoffed. I considered myself a hardened skeptic. I had played every supposedly haunted game on the internet, and nothing had ever happened. I clicked the download link. Looking back now, I shouldn't have, but I just couldn't contain my curiosity. It didn't download to my hard drive like a normal file. Instead of a progress bar, my browser simply refreshed, and a message flashed on screen. Mailing address located. A cold chill ran down my spine, but I brushed it off, assuming the site had just scraped my IP address to scare me. 2 days later, that's when it happened. The reality of what I had done hit me. I had almost forgotten all about clicking on that download link. I had almost forgotten about a weird post by that account whose username had been corrupted. I had almost forgotten about Crawley.x, but not quite. I had gone outside to try and see if the package I was expecting had come in, but that's when I saw it. In the package's place was... I don't even know how to describe it. It looked like a rusty tin box, The old latch on the front had crusted over and wasn't gonna open easily. So I took the package into my room and used a kitchen knife to pry it open. After 20 minutes, I almost gave up. Almost. But that's when it happened. The latch popped off with a sound that filled me with giddy excitement. Finally, I gasped. The kitchen knife had scraped up the sides of it, but I was sure it didn't damage whatever was inside. I set the knife down by my PC, on the small wooden desk. It made a clacking noise that echoed in the silence of my victory against the tin box. I honestly don't know if I could have opened it without the knife, but looking back now, I should never have even gotten that far. But I couldn't contain my curiosity. I didn't want to hurt my fingernails, so looking back at the knife, I was about to grab it to pry loose the lid as well. However, when I looked back, the lid was already open. It was weird. I didn't remember opening it. That's when I saw it. Inside of the container was a memory chip, resting on top of a thick layer of soil and dirt. It was undoubtedly an old original PlayStation 1 memory card. The plastic shell was severely scratched and discolored, covered in a dark, sticky residue that felt like hardened oil, scratched crudely and deeply into the gray plastic, as if it were done with a jagged nail. It was a single misspelled word. Crawley. My heart sank. It was real. The memory card from that post on that thread was real. It was right in front of me. The reality of it hit me. I didn't even have an original PlayStation to play it on. My palm instantly hit my face. I wouldn't even be able to play the game unless I bought the hardware for it. Letting out a sigh of frustration, I realized that they weren't making this prank very easy to experience. So I did what I thought was best. I closed the lid on the container and put it next to the kitchen knife on my desk. Then I looked up PlayStation 1 into the search bar of Internet Explorer. Looking back now, that was a big mistake. But I just had to let my curiosity get the better of me. Next, that was when the result popped up instantly on eBay. Next door to me there was a yard sale going on, and they were selling PlayStation 1 for exactly $6.66. I let out a sigh of relief. It was right in my price range. If it was $7, I wouldn't have been able to afford it with my allowance. I ran next door as fast as I could with all the money I had with me. My neighbor didn't say a word as I put the PlayStation 1 down in front of him. But after I'd paid for it, he grabbed my wrist and stared at me. His pupils had gone impossibly black. His voice a whisper. He said, "You weren't safe. Beware of Mr. Bald Crawley." And he smiled an impossibly wide smile. His smile reaching ear to ear, stretching across his face in an unsettling way that made his teeth look unnatural, with its perfectly white teeth. Then he let go and just stood there and smiled at me, till I left and went back to my room. It was unsettling, and looking back, I should have listened to him, but my curiosity got the best of me. Once I had finished setting up my original PlayStation 1, I looked at my desk and opened the tin sitting next to my PC and kitchen knife. The original PlayStation 1 memory card was still inside it. The cracked plastic was somehow warm and inviting. I reached in and grabbed it, then put it into my PlayStation 1 that I had just bought at my neighbor's house. It felt like forever booting up, but that's what I was expecting from such an ancient dinosaur. Suddenly the screen on my CRT TV flickered on and off. It almost hurt my eyes to look at it. It flashed red and blue over and over and over again, almost like police lights, then turned to static for 10 seconds before turning off completely. I let out a groan and suddenly it turned back on. That's when it happened. He was there, in the middle of the screen. There was only a single polygonal hallway. The low poly graphics looked 90s at best, and the low quality of the screen made it hard to see. But there he was, Mr. Bald Crawley, standing in the middle of the screen. His character model spawned at the end of the long dark hallway. He wore an oversized, filthy tuxedo that jiggled with broken ragdoll physics. His head was perfectly round, completely hairless, and reflected the game's lighting like a polished mirror. He had no nose, just two flat slits, and a smile. Oh God, his smile. Permanent, a manic grin that stretched wider than human anatomy allowed. It stretched ear to ear in an impossibly wide smile. His eyes, oh God, his eyes, they were black, the whites completely blotted out. But I don't even know. It looked like black oil spilling from his tear ducts. That's when I noticed it. The walls in the game, they were covered with something, but it wasn't like the rest of the game. It was, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but the textures used didn't match up. There was blood all over the walls and floors, but it wasn't blurry and hard to see. It was just something else entirely. God, like someone had smeared real blood inside the game. God, it wasn't just real looking. It was hyper-realistic. Then it happened. Mr. Bald Crawley slowly changed he changed from the blurry low poly graphics to the same hyper-realistic texture as the blood, covering every square inch of the hallway he was in. His pure white skin glistened as if wet with the oils that spilled from his pores. And he looked up at me. Not just the character I was playing in the game. Mr. Bald Crawley looked through the screen up at me, sitting on the floor cross-legged and scared out of my mind. He didn't walk like a human. He abruptly dropped to his hands and knees, his joints popping with a loud, sickening crunch that echoed through my speakers. He began to crawl towards the camera at an impossible speed. He didn't just stay on the floor, he scaled the walls and the ceiling, moving with the frantic, erratic speed of a massive insect. The wet, meaty slapping of his palms grew faster and louder with every passing second, vibrating through my desk and rattling the kitchen knife around with loud, clattering noises. His now hyper-realistic model raced towards me through the blood, which was now splashing up and staining his tuxedo red. The model was moving at an impossibly fast speed, closing the distance in the hallway. Panicking, my survival instincts finally kicking in, I reached down and slammed the physical power switch on the PlayStation 1. The green power light on the console died, but the audio didn't stop. The wet slapping noise going. Even with the console completely dead and devoid of electricity, suddenly the temperature in my bedroom plummeted, turning so freezing cold that I could see my own breath misting in the air. The scent from the tin box, the scent of copper and, oh god, burnt hair, the scent of blood. It grew so utterly overpowering, I couldn't breathe. My phone on the nightstand buzzed loudly, shattering the silence. My hands shook violently as I picked it up. I had received a text message from an unknown, unlisted number. I opened it. It read, "Why aren't you playing with me?" Instantly, the screen on my TV went static and then displayed another image. My stomach dropped. It was me. The camera angle was just over my head. In the video feed, I could see myself standing by my desk, holding my phone, staring at the screen in absolute horror. I dropped my phone in sheer panic at what I saw next. On the ceiling directly above me, above my chair, clinging to the drywall with hyper-realistic, elongated, spider-like fingers, was the emaciated, tuxedo-clad figure of Mr. Bald Crawley. His carved, bloody smile twitched on the screen. He was looking down at the back of my neck. I'm standing in the center of my room right now. I haven't moved an inch. I can't look up. My eyes are glued to the floor because if I know I look up, it'll be the last thing I ever see. My TV went black, but I don't need the camera. I can feel it. I can feel the freezing, viscous drip of black grease falling from the ceiling, landing on the back of my neck. I don't even have anything I can use to defend myself with. The wet black oil is already oozing down the back of my shirt. If only I remembered where I put that kitchen knife. Remember, if you ever find a file online, if a thread tells you not to download it, listen to it. If an unmarked, rusted tin box arrives at your doorstep, do not open it. Take it outside and burn it. Destroy it. Don't make the same mistake I did. Because right now, I can hear the palms of his bare hands slowly sliding against my ceiling, shifting directly over my head. He's directly over my head, and I can feel his wet, slick, oily fingers running against the back of my neck. Looking back now, I shouldn't have done any of the things I did. But how would I have known that it would turn out like this? I don't have much time left, but I have to tell someone about what happened to me. Here's what I know. His name used to be Bartholomew Crawley, and he used to just be a high school kid just like me. On the night of prom, the school bullies all took him and threw him into a vat of toxic acid. It burned off all his hair and his nose. However, he survived. Then he came back to school and brutally murdered each of his bullies. He ripped off Jack Macy's arms and legs, glued him to a chair that he used his own arms and legs as the legs of the chair. He used a potato peeler to peel off all of Richard Orangebrook's skin. And finally, forced Stevie McCorp to eat the deep-fried skin of Orangebrooks while sitting on the chair made from Macy's body parts, while drinking the same acid that they had melted him with. Afterwards, he threw them all into the vat of acid to watch them melt alive, and he was never heard from again. Something inside Bartholomew Crawley snapped after committing the heinous murders of his school bullies. He created the memory cards as a way to get people's addresses and to sneak into their homes and then murder them. He was no longer Bartholomew Crawley, but something else entirely. He became something much more sinister. He became Mr. Bald Crawley. God, he's dropping down now. Remember, if you come across Mr. Bald Crawley, don't play his game. Oh yeah, the most important thing of all, if nothing else, for God's sake, don't forget to...
Official police log. Case file number 666. Crawley. Date October 24th. Investigating officer, Detective Vance. Audio log entry. We arrived at the victim's residence at approximately 0415 hours, following multiple emergency calls from neighbors reporting a high-pitched, heavily distorted screaming sound originating from the apartment. Upon forced entry, the scene was highly irregular and deeply disturbing. The victim was completely missing from the premises, with no signs of forced exit. The only physical evidence left behind was a large pool of blood pooled beneath the computer desk, and a strange, foul-smelling black chemical grease coating the entirety of the ceiling directly above the chair. Property damage indicates a heavy weight impacted the floor from above. A vintage gaming console was recovered from the floor, also. Oddly, a digital memory card was recovered from slot 1, heavily degraded. Forensic analysis of the victim's computer revealed a text document left open on the desktop. It contained a continuous loop of a single sentence, repeating over 10,000 times. He is bald, and he is crawling. The memory card has been booked into secure evidence. Investigation is ongoing. God help us all.